Origin Gents, reaction. This is Modern Classics Summarize Lord of the Flies by the channel overly Sarcastic obviously. Around this time I always react to some OSP video, probably Red's mythological or something like this. Well. I hate this book. In today's exciting episode, watch a group of stranded preteens become paranoid and homicidal when isolated from a society that apparently only barely manages to suppress the seething cauldron of homicidal instincts rolling just below the surface. Yeah, preteens, what, 8-9 years old or something like that? Damn. So apparently 8-9 years old are gonna get stranded and they are not going to be screaming around crying for their mommies, but apparently going to do something. That's just weird, isn't it? Yeah, not from Red. I'm working on Journey to the West Part 3. I promise it's just jungle a few projects. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is about a book, obviously. I'm growing up, I didn't read much of the book. Then I started to read books. But now I don't have much time, so summarize is the best way to see it. So I guess why not? Yeah, I highly doubt I'm ever going to read this book. And C says I hate this book, so I'm glad I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna see a 6.5 minute long summary. It's gonna be fun. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast with different playlists like Oli Sarcastic Production Reaction. I'll record a few reaction videos from this channel, mythological videos, legend summarize, like something like this, historical videos, trope talk. So check out the playlist; it's all there. Check out the playlist to like history with all of my historical videos, except Oli Sarcastic Production history videos because they are in the Oli Sarcastic Production playlist, whatever. Then internet historian playlist, CGP Grey, Kazgaza Nutshell, and yeah, let's watch this one.
When I was a kid, I had all the standard British schoolchildren go on magical adventures books. Narnia, The Dark is Rising, the Crestomancy books, Edward Eger's magic series, anything written by E. Nesbit, the list goes on. Now, these were fun for a lot of reasons, but I think we can all agree that the main reason we enjoyed reading these books was because we could see ourselves in them. Whether the protagonists were traveling back in time to Arthurian legend or making half-thought-out wishes on ancient coins, the magic was real and present to us because we could see ourselves in the characters. Now, there's a novel that fits all these categories: British schoolchildren, far-off lands, and a subtle element of the fantastic. Even better, it's another story where we can see ourselves in the characters and easily reflect on how we'd behave in their situation. I'm talking about Lord of the Flies. Now this novel...
Okay, the way she says it's like it's a good book, so why is she saying that this is a bad book?
Was written as a specific pushback to a now forgotten genre of adventure book, where British schoolchildren would be stranded on some mysterious island and go on amazing adventures and keep the British stiff upper lip, surviving off the land alone. This genre was irrationally popular, and apparently William...
What? There are more books based on some children getting stranded? You do realize, right, that preteens, even at early teens, children are children. There's a reason why we don't give important tasks to children. They are children. They are not going to be organized. They're not going to do shit. They're just going to cry and starve and die. If the kids get stranded, all the emergency services panics faster because they know they can't survive.
William Golding, who wrote Lord of the Flies, was having absolutely none of it, so he wrote this. Now, the context for this story is a barely defined nuclear war, and we're given very little information about this, which is fine because the entire story takes place on a deserted island in the middle of nowhere anyway, so we don't really need a rundown of the global politics at the time. Our story begins with a plane crash that drops our main cast onto a deserted island. Our main cast of what, you might ask? Why, an all-male gang of strapping British preteens, of course. Okay, so there are a lot of these, but there are only a few that end up being relevant to the story, so let me map this out for you. First off, they're subdivided between big uns and little uns, with the little uns being the younger kids and the big uns being the source of every problem in this entire stupid book. So the main character is Ralph, and he's the first character we meet, escaping from the burning wreckage of the plane. In the heavily symbolic interpretation of the text, Ralph typically represents order and civilization, because he is a rather orderly and civilized individual. He's immediately joined by the second important character, Piggy, a short, fat asthmatic with terrible eyesight and a complete inability to read the social mood. He represents adulthood. So Ralph and Piggy get their bearings, by which I mean Ralph gets his bearings and Piggy is tragically oblivious to Ralph's repeated attempts to ditch him. Now, Ralph ends up finding a conch shell, which ends up being so symbolically relevant to the story that it's practically a character all on its own. I'm gonna call it Shelley. So Ralph blows Shelley, and the noise summons all the other survivors, a group which is composed of a bunch of misfits and a boys' choir led by a third relevant character named Jack, who represents just kind of being the worst. Also present are major characters...
Wait a minute, is this a movie they made on the Lord of the Flies? They are stranded here? So why are they walking around in robes? Oh, we must walk around in robes. We just crashed and stranded. What the fuck?
Roger, Simon, and the twins Sam and Eric, respectively a sociopath, a Jesus figure, and I'm not even sure why they're here. So Ralph tries to rally the boys, telling them that they need to be rescued, so they should make a signal fire and keep it lit so any passing ships will see the smoke. See? Order and civilization. Jack immediately establishes himself as both a rival and a total dick by trying to challenge Ralph's leadership for no reason. See, Jack is one of those people who'd rather establish his own badassery than actually get them all rescued. It's like those people who genuinely want a zombie apocalypse to happen. So Jack establishes himself and his choir as the Hunters, mostly because he wants to go murder some pigs. Meanwhile, Ralph is elected chief, and Piggy is soundly ignored and mocked for being an overweight nerd, because, in case you hadn't figured this out yet, this book is meant to systematically shred your faith in humanity. So, after establishing some semblance of order and using Piggy's glasses to get a signal fire going, of course things start falling apart immediately, because trying to wrangle a bunch of 10-year-olds into doing boring stuff like building shelters and gathering firewood that they need to live when they could instead be romping about an untouched island paradise is not the easiest task. On top of that, the Littleins are getting paranoid about some kind of beast, which one of them, who vanishes shortly thereafter, claims to have seen in the night. To top things off, Jack has been frustratingly mutinous, which comes to a head when he rallies the fire tending.
Or I'm not gonna lie, in realistic scenario if this happens, I guess first of all they would not be organized. I would be surprised if any of them know what to do now. They would go past the shock that they are alone, they are on the island, they're stranded, they might die. They even have to hunt for food. It's really hard for me to picture any 8-9-year-old going beyond that and then realize, we have to save ourselves. Nobody gonna come up for us, obviously. So let's do smoke, let's do things here and there. First of all, they would panic, right? They would be scared, all right? They cry a lot. Then the anger comes out and they basically punch each other. Some kids might die just because of other kids punching each other or something like that, or drown or some accident. And then if nobody finds them, they would starve. I highly doubt they would have survival instinct. Lots of adults would not have that kind of instinct, let alone these small kids.
Crew into a pig hunt, and while they're off stretching their murder muscles, the fire goes out, which is unfortunate because a ship was passing at that exact moment, and without the smoke signal to draw its attention, it blissfully chugs past, leaving our characters stranded. So while Ralph conquers his personal leadership issues with a little moral support from Piggy, who he's gradually growing to appreciate, a dogfight happens over the island while everyone's asleep, and a dead pilot drifts down and lodges parachute first into a tree near the top of the mountain. Why is this important, you might ask? Tragic misunderstandings is why. See, while tending the fire, the twins Sam and Eric see the dead pilot moving in the darkness, mistake him for the beast, and run away in a panic. Now that some of the biggins have seen the beast, it's a more credible threat, and Jack and Ralph decide to check out the one part of the island they haven't examined yet, a craggy cliff by the far end of the island. They get far enough to note that it'd make a good campsite in case someone happened to mutiny, then turn and run as soon as something starts moving a little. But then, mutiny! When they meet up at the shelters, Jack tries to rally the boys against Ralph and get himself elected chief instead, which fails both spectacularly and hilariously, and Jack sprints off in a huff, accompanied by Roger. Remember? The sadist? Yeah, this should be fun. So despite his initial failure to garner support, Jack starts getting more of a following due to his exciting, glamorous lifestyle of painting his face, eating roasted pig, and foregoing both sanity and proper English behavior. Unfortunately, however, they don't have their own fire, and they can't start one themselves because they don't have Piggy's glasses. And that rub two sticks together thing? Way overrated. So they raid the main camp for fire and invite the rest of the crew to a big old feast of roasted pork, which, after some grumpiness, even Ralph and Piggy go to. Meanwhile, however, Simon, our dreamy, nature-loving Jesus figure, has stumbled on a pig's head on a stake, which was left there by Jack's crew as a sacrifice to the beast. Simon has an extended conversation with the pig's head because he's implied to be not quite all there in the brain pan, and the pig's head, calling itself the Lord of the Flies, tells Simon that the real beast was inside them all along. Then Simon passes out, wakes up a little bit later in a bit of a disoriented state, and stumbles across the dead pilot that everyone thought was the beast. Realizing that it's just an ordinary dead dude, Simon goes to find the others in order to tell them that the beast was imaginary after all, and there's no need to panic. But unfortunately, when he stumbles into camp, everyone's so jumpy that they immediately mistake him for the beast and brutally murder him. Yikes. So Ralph and Piggy are
This is a movie? I know it's black and white, but this is a movie? What the fuck, man? Oh, I did not see that coming. Even though I just said the kids would kill each other, but not sinisterly, not like that, right? They would just panic kill each other in that sense because they're kids. They can't organize. I didn't know this would happen. They become all tribal, fine. Then the one kid who actually realized something, like there is no beast. Oh, look at that. I just realized something. It's enlightenment. I should tell the others. No, that just mistakes him for a, basically beast or something, kills him. That's just fucked up.
They're both alone and traumatized as everyone but the twins has defected to Jack's camp, possibly as a way of shrinking from civilization and embracing their savagery in order to avoid facing the consequences of their actions. Oh, and around this time, Ralph and Piggy observe that Shelley has been bleached almost white, as though their cornerstone of civilization has lost its luster. What? No, I'm not going to analyze this more deeply. Write your own paper. So Jack decides to steal Piggy's glasses in order to gain control of the fire on the island and raids the camp. Ralph and company go to Jack's camp to civilly ask for their return. This goes predictably poorly, and Sam and Eric are captured while Piggy is crushed to death by a giant boulder dropped on him by Roger. Shelly, no! So Ralph escapes into the night while Roger tortures Sam and Eric until they agree to join Jack's tribe, and Ralph, now twice as traumatized, manages to sneak back closer to camp with the intention of rescuing Sam and Eric, only for them to warn him that Jack is going to lead a full-on manhunt for him the next day, and he'd better go find somewhere very cozy to hide. So Jack and crew reenact the most dangerous game and set the whole island on fire in an attempt to smoke him out, and Ralph is about to be cornered when he crashes into an adult! More specifically, a naval officer, whose ship saw the not inconsiderable amounts of smoke from the island being on fire and came to rescue them. Jack and crew immediately snap out of their let's murder a 12-year-old fervor, and after the officer berates them for failing to be suitably British while marooned, Ralph breaks down crying because, I mean, seriously, holy shit! And everyone else breaks down crying at the reality of what terrible people they are. Feel-good novel of the century.
This book shouldn't exist. At the start, she just said, I hate this book. I'm like, she's talking about this is some interesting concept. No. How much the author hated some kids that he had to let out his anger by making this book. This is fucked up. Somebody actually made a movie out of it. Oh, God. This is... Damn, stop making me read books that demolishes my faith in humanity. Yeah, I think I'm gonna, whenever I click a video and she says this is a horrible book, this is a horrible novel, whatever, I think I'm not gonna watch that because this is fucked up. Wonder how those kids readjusted to life back in civilization. Does it count as murder if there are no adults to yell at you? Actually, I feel like that question is pretty much the entire premise of the book. Yeah. I think, the premise of the book is just that, usually it's implied that adults can be sinister assholes, whatever, doing assholey things. But kids becoming this while they're stranded just shows, as a human, how savage we can be, something like that. I don't know. Damn, I don't want to think about this book too much. That was just fucked up. That felt like this author just wanted to, let out his anger by, murdering some, yeah. Alright, people. I don't think there's more than. Yeah, there you go. Alright, people, that was Modern Classics Summarized, Lord of the Flies. First Modern Classic Summarized, and this is how it is. I don't even know how other Modern Classics are going to be. But yeah. What is that? Modern Classics Summer 1984? What the hell is that? Yeah. Alright, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the Cosmo Play. Check out the ink cards, and I'll see you next time.